online. Since I react to things and I regret not recording myself in the past. I mean, I reacted to lots of stuff and never did this before. I'm changing my mentality, and I want to share my thoughts with you. I want to be on YouTube, seeing what I want to say. And I'm very into this, as much as many people I follow from, you know, the big Akai Mpc music channels. And I have a different point, not a different point of view, but I think I understand some things a bit different. Not reacting from scratch right here, you know, like be watching videos in the morning, not in depth. I think I understand what's going on. So basically, we're getting well, there's a new Akai Mpc Studio. Studio was not basically one of the more affordable MPCs. It's not a standalone unit, so it works with the software. And whoa, it looks great. Like, let's get into. I know the functionality. Yeah, it's an MPC basically. You chop music, you use samples, you use sequences. From what I've seen, it does pretty much everything an MPC does. The difference here is that they removed the screen that we have in the MPC Live, the MPC One, the touch screen, and now you rely on your computer's display. It's smart, and I understand, and of course, it's gonna come for a more affordable price. There's so many implications in this, like first of all, well, this becomes a more affordable MPC. I don't know if I'm correct, but this must be the more affordable MPC experience, apart from buying an Akai, what's the name? MPV? Yeah, like you can either buy this or buy an MPV 218, I think that's the name, 218, which is basically just the pads with no additional buttons except for just moving through different banks. But yeah, it's interesting. I've been watching videos from Accurate and the other guys, and basically they compare this to Machine Micro, right? But there are some differences. And the major difference here is that everything's different. I mean, it looks more than a Machine Micro, an actual MPC One or MPC Live. Like, everything changed. We have the banks here. Let me zoom in. You see what I see? OBS sometimes fails. We have node repeat here on the left side. Well, mine in MPC One is down here, but it's touch strip, which is this new thing that seems to be the new addition. It's kind of, it's not progressive. No, and it's not a new addition. It's nothing revolutionary, because we saw this before in Machine Micro, all the machine models, and it's cool. This stuff is cool. Everything that's about expression, I just started thinking, like, what if this is like, you know, Ableton is making everything compatible with this aftertouch thing. I forgot the term for it, but basically this is gonna give you expression or automation effects. And I also saw you can control many of the parameters with this. As a real fader, that you can, for example, touch the, you know, one of your knobs in one of the plugins, the filter, one of your filters, the resonance, and probably play with it, automate something crazy with this. It's super cool, because this is what makes digital music less digital, like more alive, and it gives the player some sort of control. You know, it's like you see so many people like play guitar, but they're all different because there's something about touching the strings. It's becoming an instrument. So this is the instrument side of the MPC. I really like this, and I wish I had it. But at the same time, we have the touchscreen in MPC One, MPC Live. So it's not like we really needed it, but it's cool to have it in a very not basic controller, but the affordable, the more affordable controller here. I just saw somebody say this, it's around $200, $300, $400. I don't know, but definitely at least half the price of an MPC One. I don't know if I'm correct, but yeah, maybe it's half the price of an MPC One. Hey, Inky the cat, hello. How you doing? Are you excited about this little thing here? I am, but at the same time I have some thoughts that I just want to express. I live here for posterity, you know. Well, yeah, let's keep on analyzing what's going on, like, and the buttons. It's all about buttons. MPCs, it's all about the buttons, where they are, how they feel, what they do, and the shortcuts in the hardware. I didn't know this. Like, I started making music with Ableton, Reason, the computer, basically, my mouse, my keyboard, and I had MP3s, I had MIDI controllers, but the workflow was a bit disjointed. Like, I had to go from one side to the other, and for me that was exciting. I remember thinking about myself having a studio where I had to, operate one thing and then turn here and do something else and then turn to the right, like. And I thought that was cool until I discovered it's actually more important to have everything you need as close as possible. Like, the less you move, and that's my personal, I think that's my personal preference, but if I move, if I look at things, if I get distracted, it just doesn't work. Like, whatever I'm creating, it takes longer. Making decisions feels, I get distracted. I just don't feel it. So when you have the knobs, when you have these little things, the buttons are so important. I don't have one, obviously, but I can see here, like, the hardware is very good looking. I wish I could. Nobody's done that, but these guys, everybody who got it, like, please make a video pressing, pushing the buttons. I want to see if these buttons are, and I'm gonna tell you something. Example, Ableton push. The buttons, I'm not gonna say they're terrible, but the buttons are, like, very hard to press, to push. You have to push those buttons, like, they're not, they kind of go in. So yeah, the push is very good looking, and those buttons on the side, they're flat. They look flat, but you have to go in and push them. And I remember having, like, I like long sessions. When I make music, I can do it for 8-10 hours, no problem. But people have to remind me, oh, have you gone to the bathroom? Have you had water? Aren't you hungry? I forget about hunger, and I love eating, but I can forget. I can just ignore my body. But with Ableton push, my hand got tired. I got tired of making music because my fingers were a bit annoyed. But you have to push them hard. MPC One, complete different experience, and the MPC Live. Those are the two MPCs I own. MPC Live, probably the better buttons, just because they're so soft. I think these are MPC Live type of buttons. For the look of it, I would believe these are MPC Live type of buttons. Great idea for those getting into music. I need a DAW for 250 pounds, right? Those are pounds. I got Live. Me too. I have the first Live, and I love exactly like me, man. exactly like me. Like I got mine in 2017, and it's becoming just it's my favorite piece of hardware, you know, for music. Right now, it's just my preference. Like I actually I don't have it with me. The Ableton Push is not here with me at home, but I'm gonna get rid of it. It's not a bad thing to have, but let me see what's going on with my video. Oh yeah, video is struggling. Load. Yeah, but yeah, MPC Live. Like I'm not looking back. Like I love producing music with it. So mapping Novation XL to live for a live set with proper hands-on. Wow. Okay, that sounds exciting. Like something that could, you know, live sets. It's challenging, and you have to communicate with your software in a very personal way. Let's say. So yeah. Those are the challenges that you need to really like the controller to get into something like that, I guess. And some people, I've seen people do that with Ableton Push, because Ableton Push is amazing. Like it does a great job, but it's very expensive. And I can see here the MPC Studio have a similar relationship with the computer. You know, like you still in Ableton Push, I know there's a little, you know, we have that little screen, but you still have to look up, make sure things, you know, you're in the right page, or it's not really great. The screen's not really great. It's you can see the parameter that you controlling with the knob, how much, you know, if you go from 60 to 70, well, you can see that. But yeah, it's not that great. And when you said before, man, Inky, like that's the most important thing. I think that's what's really happening here with that's what's really happening with the touch. Sorry, with the MPC Studio here. Like, they need to reach. I understand it's a company and it's a product, and and this happens with video games as well. It happens with iPhones. Every manufacturer, producer, they have to reach the new ones. Those who are like excited about getting into that, but you know, it's expensive. I don't think you can, you know, any kid in the world at 14, 15 can ask the parents for $800 or whatever, just for a chance to make music. And that's in the beginning of the stream, that's what I said. That I think that's important. Like they have to build this type of machines and controllers, the accessible ones, affordable ones. You tell me, oh, so you map a sample, reverse buttons and synth effects, cut off reverse knobs and sliders, track volumes and You might be on MPC. I'm a girl. Oh, sorry. sorry. I'm catching up with you. Okay, Inky. Yeah. Let's struggle with innovation. So Novation XL, look. Wow. So what do you think? Look, it's just I feel that the first thing we need to figure out is if this machine is actually good for. That would be my first question. Is this really good for those who want to get into this music world? Let's call it the music. I don't want to say industry. What? It's not an industry. Yeah, me too. Like £250, new musicians welcome. Yeah, and look, from the look of it, they added lots of like cool functions. I think it does everything MPC Beats or MPC software needs you to do in order to put a beat together. Exactly. It's good because they're competing with Fruity Loops. And I mean, after years of, like you just said, 2019, I had to decide what to do, where to invest. I was with Ableton, but I was like, I feel like I need something more. And I always saw people with their MPC so happy and having this close relationship with the hardware, and we love it. Yeah, I understood it after experiencing that, but okay, it's too expensive. So what do you do as a 12, 13-year-old? It's like, I don't want to invest much money. Fruity Loops. Either FL Studio or you crack something. And look, when I was in that position, and here in Mexico, like, you cannot even buy the software. Like the credit cards we use, they're not accepted on their official websites. Everybody's done it, but if you're gonna get a nice machine that you can learn, enjoy, and that's important. That's another point or a fact. Like, when you like your machine, the way it looks, how it feels, where the buttons are, you just want to make more music. You're just waiting for excuses to get into it, and yeah, it's part of the experience. Even more than with video games. With video games, you need a console to play games, or with a phone. Like, once you have the phone, you use it, you forget about it. But with these machines, controllers, specifically for music, like you look at them, it's like, that happens to me in the morning. Like, I see my thing on the desk, it's like, I want to get into it. That's true. Akai, they made a Fruity Loops controller, and they look. It's Fruity Loops is based on. It's a very, very mouse clicky workflow. Like, from what I've seen, people who use it learn how to use the software within the screen realm. They don't really. I don't think they even need controllers. But when they evolve and they start learning music, now they can hook this keyboards or something like this to Fire. I think it's Fire Studio or something. Yeah. Fruity Loops is great for a starter, but now they're competing. Yeah, I think we can say, is this competing with the FL Studio directly? Yeah. I don't know about the price. Are you sure it's £250? How much is that in dollars? 350? Still, it's affordable. I mean, if it's less than half than a MPC One, that's good. That's good. But this takes me to one video I saw from one of the community. I'm in all the communities on Facebook and Reddit, whatever. And the more interesting opinion I saw was not as positive. FL Studio was old school with Cakewalk, no? Yeah, MPC Live, me too. Yeah, FL Studio, I remember my cousin. My cousin is like, he's into sports. He's into a completely different person. I mean, like, he doesn't really like, he likes music, but he never cared about making music. And one of his friends told him, look, there's this amazing software, you can make music with it. And my cousin, that he loves, sports and different lifestyle, he made a beat with FL Studio and showed me one day, like 20 years ago. Like, oh, look. And I didn't care because it didn't sound great, and I didn't like the look of the software. I didn't like the look of things. Like, is this music? I was into guitars, I was into bands. But FL Studio was all about making things affordable. Fruity Loops. And they're the kings, no? We can actually say that music made these days, 50% of the music made these days, producers, whatever, they all started there in FL Studio, and they probably still use it. I'm pretty sure trap started in FL Studio. Those hats and all those patterns that sound very they don't have any swing. It's because FL Studio, like, I don't think you can program swing. There must be a way now, but maybe back then it was very simple. But yeah, anyways, I think this is it. I think these guys, Akai, it's great. It's a good idea, but this is a negative side of things. It's very different to what we already have. Like, it's very different. Like, the shortcuts, everything, it's in a different place. So, and this was the funniest part of that video I saw. Like, basically, if we want to help someone, not teach someone, not teach, but give advice to a new person, a newcomer on this MPC Studio, like, oh, how can I chop a sample? I cannot help that person because it's completely different. Like, it's like its own language. So the language changed and the shortcuts changed, and it's a different thing. And a person that learns this and masters this machine and could probably be interested in, oh, I want to get an MPC One. What's next for me? You know, MPC Studio is great. And imagine this person is making beats like crazy, producing fast, knows all the shortcuts because it has its own shortcuts and great workflow. I can see it's great. That person wants to get into MPC One or Live or X. I bet 80% of the time, like, that person gets it, like, upgrades, and then it feels like shit. That person could even say that the MPC Studio is better than the One or the X. Like, some things will be very different and maybe harder or easier. It's just a different world, different language. Would have been great if they found a way to package this little thing, you know, remove the screen and all that stuff, make it affordable, but at the same time keeping the language as it was. And I'll give you an idea. What if they found a way to basically transfer everything that's on the touch screen to your computer screen? Like, you basically open a virtual touch screen on your desktop. Boom. And you just keep the MPC One layout without the knobs. Well, okay, we need to save costs. We need to make it, you know, more compact. So basically remove the knobs. Oh, well, no, because the knobs are great. But, well, let's say they did that. No knobs, no touchscreen, but everything else remains. I mean, I'm talking about, look, see? Cut this part. Boom. Cut this. Just cut this part. Remove it. And of course, all the inputs. Make it flat. Good looking. Keep this exactly as it is. Oh, you cannot see me. Wait. I think I got a great idea for MPC Studio 3. Check that. Just cut this. Cut it. Just get rid of these parts, but keep this as it is. Boom. There you go. And find a way to basically recreate the screen that we get here in the MPC One Touch X on the desktop, on the PC, like a virtual session or something. I'm pretty sure it's very hard, almost impossible, because they're complete different languages. But that would have kept the language alive, like the the relationship, you know, between all machines would have remained perfect. Gonna go, but great, what can I do? Of course. And nice talking to you, and I'll see you around. Inky, the cat. And yeah, no, but regardless, you know, regardless of that, this decision going in a different direction, it's great that they're caring about that market, because you cannot wait for, you know, for being in your 20s. Like, that's what happened to me. Like, you look in different countries, you have to import these machines. For some of us, like, getting them is very hard. So you cannot wait forever to get into music. Like, you have to get young. It's better, you know. It's like you have more time to enjoy, to experience things. So yeah, affordable machines that do everything. I see the package of what's being offered. It's good. Like, lots of effects, limiter, everything you need to finish a beat, it's there. But yeah, the only conflict is that they had to change the layout like crazy. Can you see me? Yeah. The button layout is very different. The shortcuts are different. But it's doing everything. Functionality is the same, basically. Functionality is the same. People complain about this little screen. Oh, well, honestly, I think it's great that still got it something. You know, it's like for the size of the thing and a MIDI controller. I don't think you even need to see this. Like, once you learn what the buttons do, like you have to be looking at your screen on your computer. That's the workflow. But is it an enjoyable experience? Like, easy? Like, for example, you pressing this plug, well, you're moving your jog wheel, main knob, whatever you want to call it. Do you know what it's gonna do? Like, if you move it and you're looking at your screen, you know exactly what is this gonna do? Or you have to look for things everywhere, you know, for this little indicator. Like, how many times you're gonna get lost? Or how many times you're gonna move things and say, oh, what did I do? How many buttons you need to press to get to move this specific filter in one of the pads, in one of the programs? Like, you want to change the volume of one pad or add one effect to one of the pads. How many buttons you have to press? And could something go wrong in the process? Like, oh shit, oh, I need. And do you have to go back to the mouse? Like, how many times? Because that's one of the things that kills workflow for me. Whenever I have to go back to the mouse and click things or adjust something. But of course, you can learn. I was doing that with Ableton Push, and it's not too bad, but you have to get used to it. And once I started getting into MPC Live, just dislike the Ableton Push. It's a great controller, 64 pads, good build quality. They kept on improving that little screen. Like, it was now showing MIDI events and stuff. But every time I needed to adjust something like nudge, for example, compare to clips, or do specific things, it's like, couldn't just do it in the push. I had to push those buttons on the sides and like 5 or 6 button presses. And I know my stuff. I know that was the shortest way to do it. There was no other way. There was no shortcut that could take me there. I had to exit this menu, enter into this one. For example, I'll give you an example. Just so you know, this is no BS. Like, in Ableton Push, we have drum racks. well, in Ableton we have drum racks, right? Those are basically the drum programs that we have in the MPC Beats software world. Exactly the same thing. You have tons of pads, and you browse for samples, you load them there. But when you want to change the panning of each of the pads or the volume, when you want to mix the drum program, basically play with the levels, add effects, you just have to press 2 buttons in the MPC. To do that, enable to push. Remember, it was like 3 or 4 button presses, and you cannot mix in there because you don't have you have to like scroll. For example, pad 1 is on the left side of your screen, and you finish in number 8, right? You have 1 to 8 in your screen. You want to mix the crash that you placed in pad 16 in Ableton push. You have to press like 8 times a button that scrolls the screen from left to right. Like you have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 just to get to that pad and see what's going on. Or you have to press a different button to be able to see the specific pad and only that pad, panning, volume, all that stuff. But sometimes it wouldn't work. It's like you press it, and for some reason it's not moving. It's like it's not changing. Like I'm still seeing the master volume. Lots of bugs, lots of button presses. I lost my shit. I was just okay, forget it. I was touching the mouse in 2 clicks. 1, 2, boom. So the purpose, sometimes that's the thing. You have to accept it. You have to accept that. Oh, okay. Some things with the mouse, others on the hardware. But once I experienced it live and I noticed I could do everything there and touch things and kind of feel the knobs and be precise and get out of there and continue recording my bassline or whatever. Yeah, that's the best experience. So somebody that learns this MPC Studio and wants to get into the standalone world, that person won't understand anything. But the motivation of learning an MPC and enjoying it and all that, well, that can be the greater how to say this, like maybe that could be the overall factor, the major factor, and then it won't matter. You learn again. But a person that's already good here, and you get good if you spend your time playing with these things, you just get good. So a person that gets good with an MPC Studio won't enjoy. It's a fact. It won't enjoy even the MPC X. Even the MPC X, a person that masters this MPC Studio in particular, not the previous. The previous was very similar to the ones we have here. It was part of the same line. But this one in particular, you master it, you become good, you love it, you want to upgrade because maybe you want to stop using the mouse or whatever. But you're gonna get into the MPC and the new MPCs and feel a bit, oh, what's going on? It's like the knowledge, everything that you learn, it won't translate. It's like a language that you learn. I'll give you an example. You could probably learn, I don't know, it's a bad example, but forget it. It's not a good example. It's not a good example. But it's like learning a language, it's like, imagine I learn English to go. I learned English my whole life. Well, that's a fact. Like I don't speak English. I just pretend I speak English, right? But well, okay. I learned English my entire life, 20 years going to school, got good. I can make friends, get a job, defend myself, express my opinions and stuff. And all of a sudden, I moved to this country. They offer me a job, the job of my, my dreams or whatever, and it's in France. I won't be happy. I don't think I'll be happy if I go there and I won't make friends. I don't know if maybe the job is not as good. That feeling, that feeling that everything you've been learning just don't translate well. I think it's bad. But yeah, I wouldn't like to learn a new workflow at this point. After 3 years of learning the shortcuts and feeling where everything is. But the machine here looks very attractive, very good looking. The quality, the knob, I think this is the same knob we have in MPC One or Live, so I like that. These buttons translate like it was. It's exactly the same thing. I love these plus and minus buttons. I use them a lot. Just for quick, up and down stuff. For example, I'm recording these notes. This happens a lot to me with the MPC One. I'm recording something, chords or whatever, and I need to scroll through the grid just to find the events I'm just recording, because for some reason I'm not looking at what I'm recording. Like I'm on a different page, or the MPC takes me to a different page. What happens here when you're looking at the screen? Well, you probably have to go on, mouse. Imagine, for me, it's very easy to just do this on the screen and boom, look at what I'm doing. But you have to find this little bar and then scroll, or I don't know. I lose my patience with this type of stuff, and I can see why some people would, other legacy users, more experienced than myself, they don't even have the patience. So I don't know. I like to try because this is something I always wanted when I started getting into music. The first thing I could afford was an MP32, and then MP32 was a very different machine. I think it was more, it's from Akai, right? MP32 is from Akai, but I think they built that to work with those like Ableton, because we had A faders, and MPC didn't have a software back then, right? So the buttons were all about MIDI, this, MIDI, that. Very simple. Compared to this, very simple. And I think the price point might be similar. Like basically, if I had the same money today, if I was 14, 15 years old, with the same money I spent on my MP32 back in the day, I mean, today I'd be buying this. And this is real progress. Like all of the functionality, the sampling, the chopping, all that culture, it was very exclusive to MPC standalone machines. Now you can get it for $200 something, $300 or whatever, affordable. That's the thing, and that's what many users don't understand. Like the legacy users, the people, experienced users, and all these gurus of beat making. Like when you want to start, you want to get into this, and you don't have the money, you have to get into something else, like FL Studio. And you take a different route, like it's a different path, because the music's not made the same way, it doesn't feel the same way. Like the sampling experience in MPC machines, it's great, but I never made it to experience it till I got one. After 10 years of making music, buying MIDI controllers, Reason, Ableton, watching tutorials. But MPCs were a very exclusive thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they were very expensive in the 90s. When they just released in the 90s, and the first generations, like it was a studio thing, like it's only professionals could afford. So I like this a lot, just for that aspect. For example, here in my channel, yeah, we could focus on making boom bap beats or making trap, but we also have to appeal to the newer generations and make music for, you know, everyone. The culture is the culture, but if new people don't buy these machines, this thing, if new users, if young ones, if my 12-year-old nephew or whatever, you know, that doesn't get into music, doesn't like this, I mean, we're gonna get old. We're not gonna be funding Akai forever. MPC, they're just gonna stop producing them, and the culture is gonna change. And it's not good. It's not good. Basically, we need these machines. The culture of, you know, 16 paths sampling music to prevail. New generations to that, not adopt it, but promote it. Make it part of the music making process of, you know, the current generation. Look, this is amazing. Like, he's operating, he's scrolling through, I don't know what. I think these are his plugins and devices, and the software is showing basically what the touch screen would show, so that's good. But when I'm using that or operating my MPC One, and I look at what's happening on the PC screen, like complete different shit. Here it's working in a very smooth way, very precise. I'm not sure if just because the controller is really like speaking to the MPC software in a different way, with additional options, you know, new stuff that actually. It's like this controller was made to be compatible to software, not the other way around. Like the MPC's standalone. Like sometimes you don't see what you're moving. Like you're moving, you can move here, change volumes, pan stuff, and you don't see it happening in an MPC controller. Correct me if I'm wrong, but whenever I'm moving stuff, I wouldn't find it. No, I move it here in MPC, but if I wanted to exactly find that parameter in the MPC software, I don't find it. I cannot find it. It's like, where is it? When I use this software, when I use my MPC in controller mode, I don't even look at the screen. I just want my plugins. Okay, but look, the chopping stuff. It's exactly the same. This was my dream when I got my first MPV 32. This was my dream. What he's about to do, like having that nice stuff on my computer screen and do that, exactly that. You know, the lazy chops. Bah, bah, bah. Back in the day, with the Reason. For some reason, I just like Reason, the way it looked, the devices, and the old school hardware feel. You could see the devices and turn the knobs and stuff. You have to create some sort of files with a Rex, blah blah blah, and with the mouse. You know, you have to define these regions with a mouse. Even though I have the controller next to me, I couldn't do this. And this is very important. This is probably the most important part of sampling, like getting your pads right, and with feel, like, because you can chop the melody, you can chop the drums, you can chop the chords, but you have to find them. You have to find them and push the thing at the right time, and then fix things. You know, be precise, like with the knobs, the Q links, or yeah, Q links. We don't have Q links here. I hope Let's see if we can use this, adjust things. Sample start, sample start. Okay, okay. So they had to create a specific button for that. Yeah, okay, okay, okay. So you press that and you get into sampling mode, and then the main jog wheel does everything. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah, this is everything I wanted to do when I bought my first MPD32. I don't know, 13 years ago or so. You know, 2007, 2008. That I saw Flying Lotus making beats with MPD32. I thought, oh, must be easy. And of course, you can get into Ableton and do it in Ableton with simpler. I think I discovered that workflow later, and that's why I got into Ableton before MPC. But nothing like this. This is a nice view. This is the view I wanted. Have you seen Simpler? I don't know if you've seen Simpler. Simpler in Ableton. The screen sometimes is tiny, and you have to click different things to make the screen bigger and, you know, extend things like this. Nobody wants to do that. While you laying down a beat or chopping stuff, you don't want to be adjusting these things. You want the nice view like this. This is the view you need when you're chopping. So this looks like a very nice experience. Like, this is gonna teach you chopping. But of course, you're gonna be looking for this button and the jog wheel, different language. I'm not sure if one thing is easier than the other. I feel like it's the same, you know. But yeah, the importance of this jog wheel, it's all you have. It's all you have for like going up and down, adjusting values. Look here, Andy is using his laptop's the mouse. You know, you have to the pointer. The browser is one of those things that people always say should improve. But how? Like, you still have to browse. Like, what people need to improve on is managing files, organizing your stuff. Obviously, if you don't have nice folders, you don't keep things organized, you're gonna struggle with browsers. That applies in life, PC, personal stuff, and the MPC. So browsing is browsing. But I actually enjoy using the jog wheel for browsing. Like, sometimes you have to like spin it like hard and fast. Somebody talked about the shortcut on the touchscreen. You can use both fingers to go faster. That's fine. Okay. So what's happening here? Laying down beats. I love the fact that they released a video where it's teaching you everything. Things have improved a lot in recent years. It's true. Like, look, for me to learn this stuff, I had to like find tutorials. Tutorials on YouTube 10 years ago, it wasn't the same. Like, we couldn't afford the better cameras, the nice microphones. All these things weren't as evolved as today. Today we all got access to these tools, and the quality has improved a lot, and it matters. So these are different times. These are the track mutes. So, well, track mutes is something I could do with the software actually. I don't touch the screen for my track mutes. I'm always touching the pads. So that's great. This view is very good. I've seen that whenever you're on track, what's called track mute mode, you see like pretty much all your programs and your audio tracks and all that stuff, and you can see what's muted. If something's missing, something's not working, or something goes wrong, you're gonna see it here before it comes. That's the important thing of having a visual reference. Look, he's muting lots of things here. He probably pressed the pad mute. Okay, you can pad mute, track mute, full level, half level. This was the thing I dreamed about 12 years ago. Sequence select. There must be good information that tiny screen. I mean, the necessary to at least know where you're at. Like, you want to change to, okay, program level. Yeah, it's a great thing. It's a great thing to have. But I'm thinking, okay, I could. It's not too expensive and it's cool, and it could save me some space because I have a tiny desk. But I cannot learn this. I cannot take the risk of forgetting what I, it's all about muscle memory. So now look, we have the effects on the screen, but Andy's constantly using his mouse here, the thingy. So it really requires you to have, you're basically gonna have your controller and your mouse. The good thing is that you're not using the keyboard, right? I haven't seen him touch the keyboard at all. But that, if you don't have to touch the keyboard, then that's alright. That's alright. If you can just press the take actions, select what action you want to take with the controller. You just need to point at things with this stuff. That's fine. Okay, right click there. For copy paste, basic stuff, cut. For example, if I want to transpose these notes, that happens a lot. It's like I have a drum program with 5 different kicks. That's my setup. And I want to transpose these notes just to try a different kick. Do I have to use the keyboard? I'll have to do research on that, but I'm pretty sure you have to. Because I don't see any. Oh no! You can, maybe you can select transpose or something, and then the jog wheel. Yeah. Transpose or velocity. What do you do with velocity? Like, I'm constantly, every time I record anything, I check the velocity levels of the notes. I don't record at full level. Too boring. I need that dynamics. So I have this nice chord progression, but some of the notes were a bit too soft. Like, I wasn't hitting the thing as hard as I should have. What do you do? But I think you have to click on this thing. And maybe with the mouse edit velocity, and that's not fun. That's not fun. Even in Ableton, any software I know, editing velocity is just annoying. But not in the MPC One, not in MPC X. Not like you touch things and you go to step sequence mode and you find the bar and you see exactly what went wrong. Like, you see the 2 events next to each other. You touch one, pull it down, like with precision. So, but of course, that's the next level. It's not something you have to be really worried about when you start making beats. When you're new at it. Okay, let's continue watching this stuff. But I'm happy to see Andy's not really touching the keyboard. With Ableton, I really had to touch the keyboard, like all the time. All the time. This is okay. Check this out. This is something I constantly do. I play with the amplitude filter. Sorry, envelopes basically for amplitude, for filters. I apply filters to my pads, filter stuff, clean them. It's a great function. Like it's one of the things that makes MPC special. You really need the right hand here, eh? Because this screen looks very different than whatever you're looking at on the MPC One or live touch screen. I'm not used to it, so when I see it, it looks, for example, this section here looks very different than the touchscreen. The touchscreen looks very nice, but I guess it's you know, it does the job. Oh, and look, these are the windows that we get there. Like if we scroll through program edit mode in the current MPCs, the standalone ones, this is everything, right? Everything's there, but it just looks different. You won't have access to many of those things with the controller. That's mouse stuff. You need the mouse. You need to click of those values. I wonder if you can click on one of these values, for example, attack, and maybe with the jog wheel. That would be nice, like a universal, jog wheel thing. Like you click on the attack, and then with the jog wheel, adjust it to taste. Because dropping things or controlling a fader, go up and down with the mouse, there's no comparison. Like a real Q-Link or a real jog wheel just beats that like crazy. It's not precise. It's annoying, especially when things look tiny like here. For example, the attack is here. It's one of these values. I hope you can see it. It's tiny. You probably have to click on it and go up. Yeah. But anyways, you have access to it, so still good. Having access to everything that an MPC does, but purchasing this additional buttons, like I'm starting to feel like I really want to know the price. But if this is competing with the MPD 218, which is the super legendary 16-pad MIDI controller that's very ergonomic and great pads, I have it. There's no reason to buy that anymore. This is way better. The transport, the jog wheel, like, although that one has knobs, few links. So well, this is great. I was watching videos from everybody, right? All the bigger streamers and influencers, whatever, for music, that actually work with Akai or got sent a unit. And yeah, it's a positive reaction. But the fact that the language is so different, it just means that the market, the target market, is not any of us. But that's okay. That has to happen. I just hope that they don't continue this line or this language, because then we need to learn new stuff. And another thing I want to say, like, we actually don't need anything else. I don't feel like I need something better than what I already have. Like the current machines are amazing. They do everything. If you cannot make music with the current standalone machines, what else do you need? Probably a better mixing view, because I struggle when I want to mix my stuff. I want to see the faders all together in vertical mode. I know we can go controller mode and check that out there, but maybe a better view for standalone mode. Yeah, we don't need anything, but But those who want to get into this world, they needed this. I just wish it was more close. It was closer to what we already have than a complete new thing. Especially the shortcuts. You know which one I feel like it's an amazing unit that should have never been terminated or whatever, discontinued. The touch. I don't know why the touch just got removed from the equation. It was great. It was great. Maybe the price was a bit too high. They didn't want to drop the price. They just decided to, okay, let's create a one and then go very low with MPC Studio. And I hope this is very low. So we still don't know. I don't know the price. Like no one knows the price. No one knows the price. Everybody says it's around this, it's around that. It could be wrong, you know. Oh, yeah. 500, 600, 599. It's like no. 499. Even 499 sounds bad. Everybody's speculating and assuming this is gonna be affordable. Me too, but what if not? I remember, like, before getting the one or the live, I was thinking of getting the Renaissance. What's the name of the very white one? Is it Studio? The first Studio? Is the one that works with the iPads, I think. Well, anyways, it wasn't affordable. It wasn't really like a great deal. Like, it was just a little investment for me. So, well, if this is not really competing with FL Studio, I don't think it's gonna make a difference. It's gonna be a good controller to purchase for those who don't have as much money, but at least half of what an MPC One is, whatever the current price is, because everything's constantly changing. Yeah, it needs to be affordable. Please make it affordable. Find a way to make it affordable. Tap tempo. It's like, look, this video I watched and these opinions I watched, the negative ones about the language. Yeah, it's different, but it's not that different actually. I mean, the principles are the same. You have a shift button. So now the pads do different stuff, but that's understandable. Like, you don't have the touch screen, so it's a complete different experience. I actually feel more positive now after watching the videos and talking about this for like an hour. How long it's been? Oh yeah, 1 hour. I don't think it's that different. I think it's a very good way to start. Sampling, having fun with music. This is what I wanted to have 12 years ago, 13 years ago. The big jog wheel thingy, knob, whatever this is, like this thing, the feel of scrolling through it to find my stuff. Sorry. The pads, I hope these are good pads. You know, no double notes or shit like that. And nice, you know, sensitive. I hope we can adjust sensitivity. I don't know if there's any settings here to adjust for the hardware. I haven't seen a button like browse, track select. It's looking good. It's looking good. Look, the placement of this, the transport buttons are the same as with the MPC. But yeah, like if somebody comes with this and tell me, hey, show me how to make a beat, I won't be able to guide you like step by step. The functionality is the same. I don't know if if they had the chance to recreate the touchscreen on the PC screen and just cut the bottom half of the MPC One, that would have been epic, like a real step, not step forward, but the MPC One. Look, I have MPC Live. I've played the X. MPC One is amazing because of this, and this is what makes the difference. Having the buttons, the touching things, and developing muscle memory for all actions. I mean, it's essential. The same way you play a guitar and you stop looking at your hands at times because you just need to listen to hear. Like the technical aspect, it's gone. It's not a barrier. Like, you know where things are. Like, you just need to try different things to make music. It's all about making music. So once you know where everything is, yeah, you have to worry about the real stuff. Is this parameters? How is Andy controlling this stuff? Oh, okay. This sliding thingy. This is very cool. This is very cool, and you probably can, I love filters, I love faders. I always wanted something like this. I think the very first MPV, the very tiny one, MPV 18, the one that like preceded the 218, from that generation, the first generations of MPV controllers. I think that one had like a fader. But whoa, now we got a fader, but this is more enjoyable. I'd say this is more enjoyable. I also saw Andy and others move through octaves and do stuff with this. Like, could be fun. It depends on how sensitive it is. If this is not sensitive enough, it feels weird. It feels a bit like, I don't want to recognize this, but like the touchscreen in at least MPC Live, MPC One, sometimes the touchscreen is a bit clumsy. Like, it feels not. I wouldn't say cheap. Somebody said that. Somebody said in a video, "Oh, it's a cheap screen." What? What's this? I've never seen this before. Whoa. So there are new effects for this thing. And this must be made by Air. It's good, the Air looks, I don't know. Wow, so they're getting effects that are probably compatible to the hardware. Specifically this strip thingy. Slider. Okay. So they basically found ways to just jump the touchscreen limitation. But if they found a way to just create a virtual session of that touchscreen on the PC and have the MPC One without the touchscreen, like as a controller, it would have been epic. But maybe it's too complicated, Oh yeah, everything works with the fader. That can be fun. I mean, all this stuff is great. All this stuff is great. Yeah, very nice, very nice. Getting started with episode 11. I think, everything's here, right? I was watching all the videos. This is how beats look like. This one's a bit repetitive though, but yeah. So yeah, this is mouse stuff. I don't know. Like, if somebody is asking me, okay, I have an MPC Studio, man, how can I export? I don't even know where that is, because I don't have to touch it. Like, I touch it in a one touch or two touches, boom, boom, for it. But here you need to learn the software. But everything's there. Everything's there. I'm not sure if this is MPC Beats or the original MPC software, but they're both capable. Everything's possible in this thing. Exporting your beats, then you do the mixing, mastering, all that stuff, different DAW if you want to. Very nice. So I think I'm gonna leave it like this. I'm not sure if I said what I wanted to say, but yeah, that's my conclusion. It's just a great machine. It looks nice built, smart. Like the car people, they're smart. It's a generations of people that probably work on these machines, starting with the legendary Roger Lynn. And it's just evolving. Like that's how it feels. It's like a knowledge that's constantly evolving and moving up, getting better and better. This follows that line. The only thing they've done is they remapped the buttons, remove some stuff, and they made the MPC software more. It's important that you know where things are on the screen. For a person that wants to get into music and wants something deep, like deep music control and sampling plugins, this is as deep as it can get. It's very deep. Actually, like you can make music here, and that's all. That's it. Tons of tracks, lots of plugins, lots of samples, everything edited. It's just different, different than the current standalone machines. If you could have the money to just jump this step and get into the MPC Standalone, it would be great. But if you're not sure about music, if you've seen people use these machines and you're like constantly watching videos, it's like, what if? Should I spend on it? And you just want to feel. You want an MPC because you want that feel that you don't feel you need nothing else except your little box, your knobs. This is a different experience. If you know nothing about music, but you like the idea of sampling, the idea of making music, but you don't know much about how it works, and you want to start, and you don't want limitations. You want to start with I don't think this is easy. Probably machine is easier, but get into this because it's gonna be a not long process, but very deep. And I feel like once you master this, you can put out the beat's gonna be as good as the beats we make in the standalone machines. This is the thing. A person with $200 of hopefully $200 can buy this and make a beat as good as the person that has MPC X 3000 whatever, or 5 MPCs all together, like just with this. And yeah, I don't see any difference. But you're gonna learn a different workflow, and the videos available today from myself, others, the channels that started by posting tutorials, that stuff is not gonna help you much, because the functionality of the knobs, where things are, that's the most important thing. Like where you find things and how you think about your thought process when making beats. Like, okay, I got my sample. Where is it? What do I have to do with it? It's just a process of steps and buttons and things that you learn. And once you learn that, you feel comfortable, and you start worrying about what really matters, the music. and once you learn that those steps and that technical aspect of these machines, once you do that, you actually start also being creative, like developing, like thinking, okay, what if I do this different? What if I try this? You start trying new stuff, and that's where new music, like new ideas, new sounds, could take place. Like the creativity comes from first perfecting what's already there, you know, like learning process, and then okay, what if we change this? What if we started from here? What if I do this to my? What if I chop my sample this way and then resample it and do the opposite? Or I've been thinking like this recently. Like I can make my process a bit longer just because the basic process is so fast for me that I don't worry about, oh, this is gonna take forever. No, because I perfected my workflow, and now I can add new stuff. I can try different things, and the music could sound more original or different, or you can create things with a specific character. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, it's a new challenge for a person that never made music before and wants to buy a machine, and it's like, oh, I want to start somewhere. This is great. It's amazing. This was my dream, but it's 12 years late. Of course, you know, it's no one's fault. But this is what I wanted. This is what I would have paid. I would have begged, you know, my parents, everybody, you know, for just additional money to buy this in case it was more expensive than the MPV controller I purchased back then. If there was a small difference to pay, because look, all this stuff is very cool. Add mute, 16 level, this is cool. Quantize, correction, browsing stuff. It's just communicating. This is the Ableton push. Yeah, this is actually an Ableton. It's competing with Ableton push in a way. And remember that Ableton push is what, I don't know in US dollars, but it's an expensive controller. It's as expensive as an MPC One. Yeah. And yeah, there are additional perks of getting a push because of the screen. But not really. The the Ableton push still requires you to operate things with the mouse, like use the keyboard, switch to mouse, change views and stuff. Because I never feel 100% sure of what's happening, and you can MPC actually with Ableton push you can only operate session view, which is basically the live looper side of loop bass side of Ableton, not the arrangement mode. I don't know how that works here. I didn't see anything. We have modes, we have stuff. So yeah, this is great. This is great. Obviously not for me, but I'm happy that the culture that Akai is thinking this way and is trying to bring people in, because it's needed. Like many of you guys that, I mean, we want to talk about how amazing we have to preserve the culture and all that stuff. But look, I'm a Mexican guy that just likes music and I happen to like these machines. And I know there's specific genres, but I don't care about that stuff. I feel like it should be for everyone. It should be for everyone. It's not about, oh, you have to sample jazz music and add beats to it. Like, it's all about making music. I don't think Roger Lynn thought about, oh, okay, I want this specific type of music to be made with MPC. Come on. Or I want just people with, I want this machine to be exclusive for people that want to go professionals. No. When you start a business or when you release a product, you want everyone to consume. You want everyone to like it. You make a video, you want everybody to like it. So this is the right thing to do. Maybe the execution could have been better in terms of the language, the shortcuts and stuff, but this is better than not doing it at all. Because yeah, I can relate to this, like wanting this, not now because I'm an old man with the MPCs. Back then, when I didn't have the confidence to spend money on and somebody teach me, like the videos they put there on the website, I didn't have that. Like I had Reason or whatever, and I didn't have this type of tutorials how to make music. That didn't exist. You had some books and crazy how things have evolved, and it's all about being inclusive and bringing in like newcomers and get people into sampling and the craft of making music this way, with a nice machine, a controller that looks good, well built, lots of support. Well, the videos, the package, I see there's the very nice sounds that come with it, modern stuff. I want to see the price. The last thing to that's like the cherry at the top of the cake or whatever. I don't know how you say it in your countries, right? But it's like the last tiny detail that's like, okay, I hope this is like, look this up, but back in the 90s when PlayStation released the first PlayStation, I think or PlayStation 2, no, the first PlayStation. It's an amazing video because E3, entertainment, blah blah blah, the biggest gaming convention that takes place, I think, in America every year, where all developers and publishers announce their games and consoles. It's a war. Like everybody's trying to impress everybody in the gaming world and get the attention. PlayStation, just the guy just goes onto the stage and says 200 and leaves the stage. I think it's 250 or 300, whatever number it was. I mean, you had the guy from Nintendo explaining how Nintendo 64 was a revolution, and it is. The ones that if you experience Nintendo 64 like myself, it was epic. Like when the leap, technologically speaking, the leap visually and the control, it was massive. But it was pricey. I couldn't afford it till maybe 1 or 2 years later after release, and everybody knew it was going to be expensive. I think PlayStation released the console a year after Nintendo 64. So anyways, Nintendo wasn't announcing anything, but everybody was expecting the new competitor to, okay, what's gonna happen, And yeah, information was leaked. I don't know, I was too young, but I know the guy just went onto the stage. It's on video. PlayStation announcement, reveal, E3, whatever. Find it here on YouTube. And the guy just said 300. 300 and left the stage. And everybody just felt the hype. Like it was a massive roar. Like people just bursted in and laughing and happy because it was cheap. It was affordable. It was the dream. That needs to happen. I don't know if they announced the price, but if Akai goes out right now, it says 200, it's over. Even us, like old school dudes that own MPCs, we're gonna get it. Just for the experience of having this little controller with everything, well in place, well built, interact with the software, and get access to all the tools, all the plugins. MPC workflow in a way. If that happens, if they announce a very affordable price, it's good for us. Like, we're gonna see a new generation of musicians. The future of the music world depends on the music industry, people call it, you know. The future of the music industry. There's no music industry anymore, but anyways, yeah, music industry depends on this. This is the future, you know, the price. So I heard people say 200, 300. Nobody knows exactly. I don't know if Akai is still testing reactions and stuff, but obviously you have to make money. We want Akai to make money. You guys need money to develop the good stuff. But if this could be one of those scenarios where you make it so affordable that everybody wants one, and the quantity, you know, you build this product based on you know, expecting quantity of sales more than profit. Maybe profit's gonna be good, but when you go for quantity, sometimes you sacrifice profit, but you keep the market is healthy as fuck. Like, you basically you generate a new user base, new clients, demand. You become the leader. You're gonna take market from the other competitors machine. Because I don't know if this is way better than Machine Micro. We probably need to wait for a comparison video. You're gonna need a comparison video from the pros, the big boys, where they talk about how this compares to Machine Micro in terms of functionality, options, and all that stuff. What? It could be even better. I see some stuff here that in the hardware, like Machine Micro is very basic. Machine Micro is actually what I just said, you know, the MPC One, cut in half, basic functionality, that's it. Everything happens in the software. But this one has additional things here, smart shortcuts. It's full of shortcuts. I mean, we're angry that the shortcuts are different, but they still have shortcuts for, you know, save. The step sequencer is here, looper, sampler, next sequence, song mode. Okay, you can go song mode here. So that's cool. Let's see how this goes. But I wish this works out for Akai. That anyone who gets into this later wants to, you know, experience the standalone world, makes it happen in a very smooth transition, you know, to be smooth for a type of user. Because if it's not, then Akai will need to build new MPC standalone, you know, new MPCs standalone with this language, or similar, or slightly different. Things could change. And yes, some of the comments I saw, and that's true. The best strength, the thing that they currently own, that it's so strong, it's like the last generation of MPCs, they're all the same. They do the same stuff. The buttons are the same functionality wise, the screens. So all of us who purchased different machines in the last 4 or 5 years, we still hang out. You know, it's like a PC. I don't know. Like, we play the same games. We can. Doesn't matter if your PC is a bit older or from Toshiba or a different brand. Like, we still play the same games, right? It's all about the same. They made it. Like, things didn't change abruptly. Like, everything's MPC software. You know, all of them work with MPC software. So that shouldn't. If it's gonna change, it really needs to change in a massive way, like massive improvement. And right now, I don't see that happening. It's very good. You don't need that. Better build on other stuff, plugins or. But okay, so time for me to go. Been here for a long time. just rambling and stuff, but it was very enjoyable. Just let my thoughts out, play my music. If you like any of the beats in the background, that's the music I made back in March, and released in Spotify. And I'm planning to release a new album, just put together my best music and package it in a nice way. The music you hear was made 50% in Ableton, because I didn't have my MPC One with me at the time. So I don't know, maybe the beats are gonna be a bit different. But I'm more confident about the new stuff because I can just edit everything. Seriously. I'm very happy with Akai and MPCs overall, so I'll keep following, and I want to see how this story moves forward with the affordable MPCs. So that's all for now. Take care. I have new music and beats, funny and cool ones. So stay tuned. And I'll see you next